If you master this, nobody can hurt you again. Listen closely. There is a prison that does not have walls. No iron bars surround it. No guards stand outside its gates. No lock prevents you from leaving. And yet, millions of people wake up inside it every morning. Its walls are built from old betrayals. Its chains are made from resentment. Its doors are guarded by memories of humiliation, rejection, disappointment, and the desperate need to be understood by people who may never understand you. And the most terrifying part is this. The person who hurt you may have already walked away. They may be sleeping peacefully tonight. They may be laughing with friends. They may have forgotten the words they once said to you, but you are still carrying them. You replay the conversation. You rewrite what you should have said. You imagine how you could have defended yourself. You wonder why they treated you that way. And without realizing it, you allow someone who is no longer standing beside you to continue controlling the atmosphere inside your mind. That is the deeper tragedy. It is not always what people do to us that destroys our peace. Sometimes it is what we continue doing with what they did to us. We keep reopening the wound. We keep returning to the battlefield. We keep handing our emotions to people who have done nothing to deserve such power. And eventually we begin calling this life. But it is not freedom. Freedom begins when we understand a difficult truth. Other people can affect our circumstances, but they do not automatically deserve authority over our inner world. Marcus Aurelius lived surrounded by war, political intrigue, betrayal, sickness, death, and people who wanted things from him. Yet again and again, he returned to the same battlefield, the battlefield within. Because the hardest kingdom to govern is not an empire. It is yourself. Epictetus understood this distinction with remarkable clarity. There are things within our power and things beyond it. Other people's judgments belong to them. Their choices belong to them. Their insults belong to them. But what we do with those things afterward, that becomes our responsibility. This does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean pretending that pain does not exist. It does not mean allowing people to mistreat us without boundaries. And it certainly does not mean becoming emotionless. It means something far more difficult. It means learning to feel without becoming controlled by what you feel. It means experiencing anger without allowing anger to choose your actions. Feeling rejection without allowing rejection to define your worth. Experiencing loss without allowing loss to destroy your character. Being misunderstood without spending your entire life begging to be understood. And perhaps most importantly, it means reaching a point where another person's behavior can no longer dictate the person you become. Because think about this carefully. If someone can insult you and immediately control your mood, they possess influence over you. If someone can reject you and make you question your worth, they possess influence over you. If someone can betray you and turn you into a bitter person for the next 10 years, they have taken something from you far greater than whatever they originally stole. They have changed you, and that is the victory we must refuse to give them. Seneca wrote extensively about the destructive power of anger and the importance of governing our reactions rather than being governed by them. The ancient lesson is severe but liberating. We cannot command the world to behave according to our wishes. People will disappoint us. Some will lie. Some will leave. Some will misunderstand us. Some will deliberately provoke us. Life itself will sometimes take away things we desperately wanted to keep. We cannot prevent every storm, but we can decide whether the storm is allowed to become the ruler of our mind. That is where our journey begins. Not with revenge, not with proving people wrong, not with becoming harder and more ruthless, but with something much more powerful, self-mastery. Because once we master the space between what happens to us and what we choose to do about it, something changes. The world can still be chaotic. People can still be cruel. Life can still be unfair. But they no longer possess unlimited access to our peace. And that is the secret we are going to explore. Not how to make nobody ever hurt us. That is impossible. But how to become the kind of person who can be hurt without being destroyed. How to experience pain without becoming pain. How to lose people without losing yourself. How to be rejected without rejecting your own worth. how to remain calm when someone desperately wants a reaction from you, and how, little by little, to reclaim the territory you surrendered every time you allowed another person's behavior to determine who you would become. There are 7 principles we are going to walk through. 7 disciplines that lead us away from emotional slavery and back toward the only form of power that truly belongs to us, the power to govern ourselves. So before we go any further, ask yourself one uncomfortable question. Who is still living inside your mind without your permission? A person from your past? A betrayal? An insult? A rejection? A memory? A judgment? Because perhaps the person you need to defeat is not the person who hurt you. Perhaps the real battle is against the part of you that still gives them the power to hurt you every morning. And if we can master that, if we can reclaim that inner kingdom, then the world may still strike against us, but it will no longer decide what we become. Let us begin. Part 1. Guard the gates of your mind. Every great civilization understood one timeless truth. A kingdom does not fall the moment an enemy reaches its walls. It falls when the gates are left unguarded. The strongest walls in the world become useless when the person standing inside them opens the gates without thinking. Your mind is no different. You may have intelligence. You may have discipline. You may have experience. You may have survived things that would have destroyed another person. But if you allow every insult to enter your mind, every criticism to determine your mood, every rejection to define your worth, and every betrayal to occupy your thoughts, then your inner kingdom remains unprotected. The greatest invasions do not always come from outside. Sometimes they begin with a thought that we refuse to release. Someone says something about us. We hear it. We think about it. Then we think about it again. Soon, the words are no longer coming from the other person. They are coming from inside our own head. This is how emotional slavery begins. One careless comment becomes a wound. One wound becomes a memory. One memory becomes resentment. And resentment becomes an identity. Before long, we are no longer responding to what happened. We are responding to the story we have built around what happened. This is why guarding the mind is not a small discipline. It is the foundation of freedom. Marcus Aurelius lived in a world filled with conflict, political pressure, betrayal, illness, war, and death. He could not control the people around him. He could not control what others thought of him. He could not control every event that entered his life. But he understood that his judgment about those events remained a different matter. This distinction is where our freedom begins. Something happens. Then the mind interprets what happened. Then emotion follows that interpretation. Then action follows the emotion. The entire chain can happen so quickly that we believe we had no choice. But we do have a choice. There is a small space between what happens and what we do about it. That space may last only a moment. But inside that moment is the power to change the direction of your entire life. Someone insults you. Pause. Someone rejects you. Pause. Someone tries to provoke you. Pause. Someone misunderstands you. Pause. The world does not need to receive an immediate answer from you. You do not have to react simply because someone else has acted. You do not have to defend every accusation. You do not have to correct every misunderstanding. You do not have to explain yourself to every person who has already decided what they want to believe. There is strength in learning to pause, because the person who controls the pause begins to control the response. And the person who controls the response becomes increasingly difficult to manipulate. Epictetus understood that our judgments are more important than the events themselves. An event may arrive without permission, but the judgment we attach to it is something we can examine. This is difficult because our first emotional reaction often feels like truth. Anger tells us that we must respond. Fear tells us that we must escape. Pride tells us that we must prove ourselves. Resentment tells us that we must remember. Insecurity tells us that we must seek approval. But an emotion is not a command. It is an experience. You can feel anger without becoming angry in your actions. You can feel fear without allowing fear to make your decisions. You can feel disappointment without allowing disappointment to destroy your hope. You can feel hurt without turning your pain into hatred. This is where self-mastery begins. Not when we stop feeling, but when we stop allowing every feeling to become our master. Think about the ocean during a violent storm. At the surface, everything is chaos. Waves rise, wind tears across the water. The surface appears almost uncontrollable. But deep beneath the waves, there is another world. The deeper the ocean becomes, the less it is disturbed by what happens above. We must become like those depths. The world will always have noise. People will always have opinions. Some will praise us. Some will criticize us. Some will love us. Some will misunderstand us. Some will try to provoke us. But we do not have to live on the surface of every event. We can develop depth. We can become so rooted in our principles that temporary disturbances no longer have the power to move the foundation of our character. This does not happen in one morning. It is built through repetition. Every time you refuse an unnecessary reaction, you strengthen yourself. Every time you remain silent when anger demands a response, you strengthen yourself. Every time you choose patience instead of revenge, you strengthen yourself. Every time you refuse to chase someone's approval, you strengthen yourself. Every time you let an insult pass without allowing it to poison your entire day, you strengthen yourself. These moments may look insignificant. They are not. They are the training ground of character. We often imagine strength as something dramatic. We imagine someone standing against an army. We imagine someone surviving a great disaster. But some of the greatest victories are almost invisible. It is the moment you read a message that would normally destroy your mood, and you choose not to react. It is the moment someone insults you, and you remember that their words do not define your character. It is the moment someone walks away, and you resist the temptation to chase them. It is the moment you realize that you do not need to explain your worth to someone who has already chosen not to see it. These are quiet victories. Nobody applauds them. Nobody may even know they happened, but you know. And slowly, you begin becoming someone who is difficult to disturb. Not because you are emotionless, because you have become governed from within. This is the difference between suppression and mastery. Suppression says, I am not allowed to feel this. Mastery says, I feel this, but I choose what I do with it. That difference is enormous. When anger appears, examine it. When jealousy appears, examine it. When resentment appears, examine it. When fear appears, examine it. Ask what the emotion is trying to tell you. Then ask whether obeying it will make you a better person. This question can save you from years of regret, because emotions often demand immediate action. Character asks us to think about consequences. Anger wants revenge now. Wisdom asks what revenge will create tomorrow. Pride wants the last word. Wisdom asks whether the last word is worth losing your peace. Fear wants escape. Wisdom asks whether courage requires you to remain. Resentment wants you to remember the wound forever. Wisdom asks whether carrying the wound is destroying the person you are becoming. This is why we must guard the gates of our minds. Not everything deserves entry. Not every opinion deserves consideration. Not every insult deserves a response. Not every person deserves access to our deepest thoughts. Your attention is one of the most valuable things you possess. Once you give it away, you cannot recover that moment. So stop giving entire hours to people who gave you only a few seconds of disrespect. Stop giving entire days to people who gave you one careless sentence. Stop sacrificing your peace to opinions that will disappear as quickly as they arrived. And stop allowing someone else's lack of self-control to become your own lack of self-control. You cannot control what another person carries inside their mind, but you can control what you carry inside yours. This is the first gate, and if you learn to guard it, you begin to understand something that can change the entire direction of your life. People can knock, they can shout, they can insult you, they can criticize you, they can misunderstand you, but they do not automatically receive permission to enter. You decide what remains inside. You decide what deserves your attention. You decide which thoughts deserve to be repeated. And eventually, you begin to realize that peace is not the absence of noise. Peace is the ability to remain yourself while the noise exists. That is the beginning of becoming unbreakable. But guarding the gate is only the beginning, because even when we know that we should not let anger control us, there is another danger waiting inside. It is the temptation to keep feeding the very emotions we claim we want to escape. And if we continue feeding them, they will eventually consume everything they were supposed to protect. That is where we go next. 2. Stop feeding the fire that wants to consume you. There is a fire that can destroy a person without ever producing smoke. It begins quietly, careless word, a betrayal, a rejection, a moment of disrespect. Someone treats you unfairly, and something inside you ignites. At first, the anger feels justified. You tell yourself that you have every reason to be angry. You replay what happened. You remember every detail. You imagine what you should have said. You imagine what you would say if you had another opportunity. Then you begin telling other people about what happened. You return to the memory again and again. And every time you return to it, you throw another piece of wood onto the fire. Eventually, you are no longer remembering the event. You are feeding the emotion. This is how resentment becomes a habit. This is how anger becomes an identity. And this is how someone who hurt you once can continue hurting you for years without ever touching you again. We must understand something. There is a difference between experiencing anger and becoming a servant of anger. Anger can appear without permission, but we do not have to build a home for it. Seneca spent considerable thought examining anger because he understood how quickly it can take possession of a human being. The angry person often believes that anger gives strength, but uncontrolled anger does not make us powerful. It makes us predictable. If someone knows exactly what words will make you angry, they know how to move you. If someone knows exactly what behavior will make you react, they know how to control the direction of your attention. If someone can provoke you whenever they want, then they possess a key to your inner world. That is not strength. That is dependence. The world is filled with people who understand this instinctively. Some people provoke because they want attention. Some provoke because they want control. Some provoke because they are carrying their own pain and want someone else to carry it with them. And some simply do not know how to communicate without creating conflict. But regardless of their reason, the responsibility remains with us. We cannot control the fire another person brings, but we can refuse to pour oil onto it. This is why silence can become such a powerful discipline. Silence is not always weakness. Sometimes silence is the moment when you finally realize that you do not need to participate in every battle that appears before you. There are arguments that can be won only by losing your peace. There are conversations where proving yourself will accomplish nothing. There are people who are not looking for truth. They are looking for a reaction. Give them the reaction and you have given them exactly what they wanted. Take it away and their power disappears. This does not mean that we should never speak. There are times when truth must be spoken. There are times when boundaries must be established. There are times when injustice must be confronted. But confrontation and emotional impulsiveness are not the same thing. You can speak firmly without hatred. You can establish a boundary without cruelty. You can walk away without revenge. You can say no without anger. This is strength under control, and control is the point. Think about a person standing beside a raging fire. The flames are enormous. The heat is intense. Everything around them appears to demand immediate action. But instead of throwing more fuel into the fire, they step back. They observe. They understand that every additional piece of wood will make the flames stronger. This is what we must learn to do with destructive emotions. When anger rises, step back. When resentment appears, step back. When jealousy begins speaking, step back. When pride demands that you prove yourself, step back. When the desire for revenge becomes strong, step back. Do not immediately obey the emotion. Observe it. You may discover something surprising. The emotion often loses its power when you stop feeding it. The thought arrives. You do not have to repeat it. A memory appears. You do not have to relive it. An insult enters your mind. You do not have to carry it into tomorrow. This is one of the greatest forms of freedom available to us. We can choose what deserves repetition, and whatever we repeatedly think about begins to shape us. If you constantly think about betrayal, you may eventually become suspicious of everyone. If you constantly think about rejection, you may eventually fear intimacy. If you constantly think about disrespect, you may eventually interpret ordinary mistakes as personal attacks. If you constantly think about revenge, you may eventually become the kind of person you once hated. This is why the battle is not simply about what happened. The deeper battle is about what the event is allowed to become inside you. Someone may have treated you badly. That was their choice. But allowing their behavior to transform your character is another choice. Do not give them that second victory. If someone was cruel, you do not have to become cruel. If someone lied, you do not have to become dishonest. If someone betrayed you, you do not have to betray yourself. If someone tried to humiliate you, you do not have to spend the rest of your life trying to humiliate them. This is where genuine strength begins. We stop asking how we can hurt the person who hurt us. We begin asking how we can prevent their actions from corrupting us. That question changes everything, because revenge keeps you connected to the person you claim you want to forget. You remain emotionally attached to them. You keep thinking about them. You keep imagining their reaction. You keep wondering whether they regret what they did. You keep waiting for justice to arrive. And while you wait, your own life stands still. This is the hidden cost of resentment. It makes the past more important than the present. It keeps our attention chained to something that cannot be changed. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminded himself to return to the present task. There was always another duty, another moment, another decision, another opportunity to practice virtue. This is what we must learn. The past can teach us, but it should not own us. A painful experience can become wisdom, but it should not become a permanent residence. We can remember without reliving. We can learn without remaining bitter. We can forgive without allowing someone back into our lives. We can release resentment without pretending that what happened was acceptable. This distinction matters. Forgiveness does not mean that what happened was harmless. It means that we refuse to continue paying for it with our peace. There are people who will never apologize. There are people who will never understand the damage they caused. There are people who will never admit that they were wrong. If your peace depends on their apology, then your peace remains in their hands. Take it back. Do not wait for someone else to give you permission to move forward. Do not wait for them to understand your pain. Do not wait for them to recognize your value. Your life is happening now. Your time is being spent now. Your character is being formed now. And every day you spend feeding an old fire is a day you cannot spend building your future. So when the next insult arrives, pause. When someone tries to provoke you, pause. When anger rises inside you, pause. Ask yourself what your reaction will create. Ask yourself whether your response will make you stronger or weaker. Ask yourself whether you are protecting your character or protecting your pride. Ask yourself whether you are seeking justice or simply seeking emotional satisfaction. These questions create distance between you and the impulse. And inside that distance, wisdom becomes possible. The strongest person in the room is not always the person who speaks the loudest. Sometimes it is the person who has every reason to react and chooses not to. Sometimes strength is refusing to send the message. Sometimes strength is refusing to return the insult. Sometimes strength is walking away from the argument. Sometimes strength is letting someone believe something about you that you know is not true. Not because you are weak, because your peace is worth more than their misunderstanding. There will always be fires in this world. People will create them. Circumstances will create them. Our own minds will sometimes create them. But we do not have to become firefighters for every emotional fire that appears. Some fires are meant to burn themselves out. Some arguments are meant to end without your final word. Some people are meant to leave without receiving another explanation. And some wounds are meant to close without being reopened every morning. The question is not whether life will give you reasons to become angry. It will. The question is whether you will allow those reasons to decide who you become. Because the moment you stop feeding the fire, something begins to return. Your attention returns. Your clarity returns. Your dignity returns. Your energy returns. And slowly your peace returns. But there is a deeper level of freedom beyond simply refusing to react. Eventually, we must reach a point where other people no longer possess the ability to decide whether we feel valuable, worthy, or complete. That is where the next lesson begins. Because the ultimate form of power is not controlling other people. It is becoming unreachable to the things that once controlled you. 3. Become unreachable. There comes a point in every person's life when they must ask themselves a difficult question. Who controls your emotions? Is it you, or is it everyone else? Think about it carefully. If one person's approval can make you feel valuable, then that person has influence over your sense of worth. If one person's rejection can make you feel worthless, then that person has influence over your sense of worth. If one insult can destroy your entire day, then the person who delivered that insult has been given authority over your peace. And if someone can make you angry whenever they want, then they have discovered a way to move you without ever touching you. This is one of the most dangerous forms of dependence. It is invisible. Nobody sees the chains. Nobody hears them. There is no prison door. Yet you wake up every morning carrying the opinions of other people inside your mind. You begin the day wondering what they think of you. You measure yourself against them. You wonder whether they respect you. You wonder whether they regret losing you. You wonder whether they are talking about you. You wonder whether they will approve of your next decision. And slowly, without realizing it, you stop living according to your own principles. You begin living according to the reactions of other people. This is not freedom. This is emotional dependence. The ancient philosophers understood that a person who needs constant approval becomes easy to control. The moment your happiness depends on another person's opinion, you have placed your inner peace outside yourself. And anything outside yourself can be taken away. Today someone praises you. Tomorrow they criticize you. Today someone tells you that you are important. Tomorrow they ignore you. Today someone promises to stay. Tomorrow they leave. If your identity depends on those things, then your identity will constantly rise and fall with the behavior of other people. But there is another way to live. We can become rooted so deeply within ourselves that external opinions lose their power to determine our worth. This does not mean that we stop listening. Wisdom requires us to accept correction. If someone points out a genuine weakness in us, we should have the courage to examine it. But there is a difference between accepting useful criticism and becoming addicted to approval. One makes us wiser, the other makes us dependent. We must learn to ask a different question. Is this criticism true? Not, do they like me? Not, how do I make them approve of me? Not, is the criticism true? If it is true, learn from it. If it is false, release it. Either way, you remain free. This is what makes a person difficult to manipulate. They are willing to examine themselves without becoming slaves to the opinions of others. They can admit when they are wrong without collapsing. They can accept criticism without hatred. They can receive praise without becoming intoxicated by it. They can be misunderstood without desperately trying to correct everyone. This is emotional independence, and it is one of the rarest forms of strength. Marcus Aurelius understood that other people's judgments were outside his control. He could govern his own intentions. He could govern his own actions. He could govern his own character. But he could never govern the minds of everyone around him. Neither can we. There will always be someone who thinks you are not good enough. There will always be someone who believes you are arrogant when you are simply confident. There will always be someone who calls you selfish when you finally establish boundaries. There will always be someone who misunderstands your silence. There will always be someone who interprets your strength as pride. You cannot spend your life correcting every interpretation. If you do, you will never have enough time left to live your own life. This is why we must learn to become unreachable. Unreachable does not mean becoming heartless. It means becoming difficult to manipulate. It means your emotions are no longer available to everyone who knows which buttons to press. It means someone can insult you without automatically receiving your anger. Someone can reject you without automatically receiving your desperation. Someone can leave without automatically receiving your begging. Someone can misunderstand you without automatically receiving your endless explanations. Someone can criticize you without automatically receiving your insecurity. You begin to understand that access to your inner world is something you can control. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your attention. Not everyone deserves your explanation. Not everyone deserves your energy. Not everyone deserves to know what you are thinking. Not everyone deserves a permanent place in your emotional life. This is where boundaries become important. A boundary is not hatred. A boundary is clarity. It says that I can respect you without allowing you to control me. I can forgive you without trusting you again. I can wish you well without allowing you back into my life. I can care about you without abandoning myself. I can love someone without making them responsible for my entire emotional existence. This is maturity, and maturity often requires letting people misunderstand you. That can be painful. Human beings naturally want to be understood. We want people to see our intentions. We want people to know that we meant well. We want people to understand our struggles. We want them to recognize what we sacrificed. We want them to see the person we believe ourselves to be. But there will be moments when no explanation is enough. You can explain yourself perfectly and still be misunderstood. You can tell the truth and still be called a liar. You can act with kindness and still be accused of having bad intentions. You can give everything you have and still be told that it was not enough. This is where we must stop trying to control what cannot be controlled. Epictetus understood that another person's judgment belongs to that person. Their mind is their territory. Your mind is yours. Do not cross into their territory every morning trying to rearrange the furniture. You cannot control what someone thinks about you, but you can control whether their thoughts become your thoughts. That distinction is freedom. Think about how much energy we waste trying to change minds that were never open to us. We explain, we defend, we argue, we prove, we send long messages, we revisit old conversations, we search for the perfect words. And after all of that, the other person may still believe exactly what they believed before. What did we gain? Nothing, except exhaustion. The desire to be understood can become a subtle form of pride. We believe that everyone must see us correctly. But why? Why must every person understand you? Why must every person approve of you? Why must every person recognize your value? Your character does not become less valuable because someone cannot see it. Gold does not become worthless because someone mistakes it for stone. Truth does not become false because someone refuses to accept it. Your character does not require unanimous approval. This is why the strongest people often become quieter as they grow wiser. They stop explaining everything. They stop defending every decision. They stop chasing every person who walks away. They stop responding to every accusation. They stop trying to convince everyone that they are good. They simply live according to their principles. And time becomes the judge. There is a profound freedom in this. You no longer need to win every conversation. You no longer need the last word. You no longer need everyone to understand your choices. You no longer need strangers to approve of your existence. You begin measuring yourself by a different standard. Did I act with integrity? Did I control myself when anger appeared? Did I speak truthfully? Did I remain disciplined when nobody was watching? Did I treat people fairly? Did I keep my character when someone tried to provoke me? Did I remain faithful to my principles when doing so was difficult? These questions matter far more than applause, because praise belongs to the crowd, character belongs to you, and the crowd changes. Today they praise you, tomorrow they forget you. Today they admire you, tomorrow they criticize you. Today they call you strong, tomorrow they call you difficult. If you build your identity on their voices, you will never become stable. But if you build your identity on character, the noise becomes less important. You become like a mountain. Storms may arrive, rain may fall, lightning may strike, wind may scream around you, but the mountain does not negotiate with the storm. It does not chase the clouds. It does not beg the wind to stop. It simply remains. That is the kind of inner strength we are developing. Not a strength that says nothing can hurt me. A strength that says pain can reach me, but pain does not get to decide who I become. That is different. It is deeper. It is more human. We will still feel disappointment. We will still feel grief. We will still experience rejection. We will still have moments of anger. But those emotions will no longer automatically become our identity. We can experience them and continue moving. We can acknowledge them and still act with wisdom. We can hurt and still remain honorable. We can lose someone and still refuse to lose ourselves. That is becoming unreachable. And perhaps one of the greatest tests of this discipline comes when we are misunderstood. Because when people misunderstand us, the instinct is to explain. But there are times when the strongest response is no response. Not because the truth does not matter, but because your peace matters too. There will be people who will never understand your journey because they have never walked it. They did not experience your battles. They did not carry your responsibilities. They did not live inside your mind. They do not know what it took for you to become the person you are today. And they do not need to. You do not need permission from strangers to know who you are. You need honesty with yourself. That is enough. So let them misunderstand you. Let them criticize you. Let them doubt you. Let them walk away. Let them believe they know your entire story from a single chapter. You do not have to chase every misunderstanding. You do not have to correct every opinion. You do not have to defend yourself against every accusation. Live well, live honestly, live according to your principles, and let your character speak through the consistency of your actions. Because eventually, something extraordinary happens. You stop needing people to lose before you can feel like you have won. You stop needing someone to regret leaving. You stop needing an apology before you allow yourself to heal. You stop needing revenge before you feel whole. You stop needing approval before you feel valuable. And when that happens, you become difficult to control. Your peace is no longer for sale. Your dignity is no longer negotiable. Your self-worth is no longer dependent on someone else's mood. You have become unreachable. But there is still another enemy we must face. Because even when we stop allowing other people to control our emotions, there is one force that can still control us more deeply than any person ever could. Our attachment to life itself. Our fear of losing what we have. Our fear of death. Our fear of time. And until we learn to confront that fear, we will continue living as prisoners of things that were never ours to keep. That is where we go next. For die before your body dies. There is a truth that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Everything ends. The people we love will change. The things we possess will disappear. Our bodies will grow older. Our names will eventually become memories. And one day, without asking whether we are ready, life will reach its final page. Most people hear this and become afraid. But there is another way to look at it. The awareness of death can become one of the greatest teachers a human being will ever encounter. Can strip away everything unnecessary. Can reveal what matters. It can expose the things we have been treating as important even though they were never worth the price we paid for them. The ancient thinkers understood this. They did not contemplate death because they wanted to become obsessed with darkness. They contemplated death because they wanted to become fully awake to life. When you remember that your time is limited, you begin to see things differently. The argument that once seemed so important becomes smaller. The insult that once consumed your thoughts becomes lighter. The approval you spent years chasing begins to lose its power. The person who rejected you no longer seems capable of determining your future. Because suddenly you understand something that the ego tries desperately to hide. Time is moving. Every morning that arrives is one morning you will never receive again. Every hour you spend consumed by resentment is an hour that cannot be recovered. Every day spent proving yourself to people who do not understand you is a day removed from the life you could have been building. This is why remembering death can make us stronger. It forces us to ask what deserves our attention. Imagine standing inside the ruins of an ancient empire. There were once people here who believed their power would last forever. They built monuments. They commanded armies. They accumulated wealth. They fought over territory. They competed for influence. They wanted their names to survive. But now the voices are gone. The soldiers are gone. The rulers are gone. The crowds are gone. The marble has cracked, the buildings have fallen, and the earth has continued turning as if none of them had ever been there. Time does not negotiate with anyone. It does not care how powerful you are. It does not care how wealthy you become. It does not care how many people admire you. Eventually, it takes everything that was never truly yours to keep. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He reminded himself again and again that the people around him were mortal, that he himself was mortal, and that everything external was temporary. This was not pessimism. It was perspective. When we understand that everything is temporary, we stop treating temporary things as if they were eternal. We stop demanding that people remain exactly as they were. We stop expecting relationships to remain unchanged forever. We stop believing that possessions can give us permanent security. We stop allowing temporary humiliation to become permanent bitterness. We stop treating every loss as the end of our existence, and we begin living with greater clarity. Think about the things that disturb you today. Someone may have ignored you. Someone may have spoken badly about you. Someone may have rejected you. Someone may have chosen someone else. Someone may have failed to appreciate what you did for them. Now imagine yourself looking back on that moment many years from now. Will it still matter? Perhaps some things will, but many will not. And this is where perspective becomes powerful. We often suffer because we treat temporary events as if they have permanent significance. A person says something cruel and we believe it will define us forever. A relationship ends and we believe we will never recover. A failure happens and we believe our future has been destroyed. A door closes and we believe there will never be another. But life is larger than the moment we are currently experiencing. The present can feel like the entire world when we are standing inside it. But it is only one moment, one chapter, one season, and seasons change. This is why we must learn to separate what matters from what merely feels urgent. The ego wants to defend itself immediately. It wants to be respected. It wants to be admired. It wants to be right. It wants everyone to know its side of the story. But mortality asks a different question. Will this matter when your time is almost finished? That question can cut through years of unnecessary suffering. Would you still spend tonight worrying about their opinion if you knew you had only 1 year left? Would you still waste tomorrow trying to prove your worth to someone who does not appreciate you? Would you still allow an old betrayal to occupy your mind if you understood how little time remains for you to build the life that is still possible? Death has a strange power. It makes the unnecessary look unnecessary. It exposes the difference between what is valuable and what is merely loud. Seneca repeatedly reflected on the shortness of life and the way human beings waste the time they have. We often behave as though time is unlimited. We postpone what matters. We delay difficult decisions. We remain in relationships that destroy our peace because we are afraid of change. We continue chasing approval because we are afraid of being alone. We waste mornings thinking about yesterday. We waste evenings worrying about tomorrow. And then we wonder where our life went. Time did not disappear. We gave it away. This is one of the hardest truths to accept. Nobody steals every moment from us. We often surrender them ourselves. We surrender them to anger. We surrender them to jealousy. We surrender them to comparison. We surrender them to resentment. We surrender them to the endless desire to be understood. We surrender them to people who may never even realize what they have taken. And then one day we look back and realize that we were so busy fighting the past that we forgot to live the present. This is why we must die before our bodies die. We must allow the unnecessary version of ourselves to disappear while we are still alive. The version that needs everyone to approve. The version that must always be right. The version that cannot tolerate criticism. The version that believes every rejection is a personal catastrophe. The version that cannot forgive. The version that is terrified of being forgotten. The version that constantly asks what other people think. That version must gradually become smaller. Not through hatred, through understanding. Because the more clearly we see the temporary nature of life, the less willing we become to waste it. We begin asking better questions. What kind of person am I becoming? What am I doing with the time I have? What deserves my attention? What deserves my energy? What kind of character am I building? If everything external disappeared tomorrow, what would remain inside me? These questions lead us toward something deeper than success. They lead us toward character. Because reputation belongs to other people. Character belongs to us. Reputation can change because someone speaks badly about you. Character does not change simply because someone misunderstands you. Reputation can disappear overnight. Character is built through years of choices. Reputation depends on the crowd. Character depends on what you do when nobody is watching. This is why we should not spend our lives trying to control how we will be remembered. We should spend our lives becoming worthy of remembering. There is a difference. One is an attempt to control the future. The other is a discipline of the present. We cannot control what people will say about us after we are gone. We cannot control whether history remembers our names. We cannot control whether someone appreciates what we did. But we can control how we live today. We can control whether we are honest. We can control whether we are disciplined. We can control whether we respond to anger with wisdom. We can control whether we treat people with dignity. We can control whether we keep our principles when doing so becomes difficult. This is enough, more than enough, because life does not ask us to control everything. It asks us to use well what has been placed within our hands. There is also another lesson hidden inside mortality. We must learn to release what was never ours. People are not possessions. Relationships are not permanent guarantees. Youth is not permanent. Health is not permanent. Wealth is not permanent. Status is not permanent. Even our own bodies are temporary. Everything we love exists within time. This does not mean that we should love less. It means we should love with awareness. We should appreciate people while they are here. We should not postpone gratitude. We should not wait until someone is gone before we recognize what they meant to us. We should not spend years holding grudges against people whose presence in our lives was always temporary. And we should not allow fear of loss to prevent us from living fully. When we understand impermanence, we become more present. We stop demanding that life guarantee tomorrow. We begin appreciating today. This morning is here. This conversation is here. This opportunity is here. This breath is here. That is enough for now. The mind often suffers because it wants guarantees that life cannot provide. We want to know that people will stay. We want to know that our plans will succeed. We want to know that our health will remain. We want to know that our future will be safe. But life does not offer those guarantees. So instead of demanding certainty from an uncertain world, we must build certainty within ourselves. Not certainty about what will happen, certainty about how we will respond. If someone leaves, I will remain myself. If I fail, I will learn. If I am criticized, I will examine the criticism and keep what is useful. If I am misunderstood, I will continue living honestly. If I lose something valuable, I will grieve without allowing grief to destroy my character. If life becomes difficult, I will continue. This is a much stronger form of security. It does not depend on the world remaining stable. It depends on our ability to remain grounded while the world changes. And it brings us to one of the most liberating truths of all. You do not need everyone to stay. You do not need everyone to understand. You do not need everyone to approve. You do not need to win every argument. You do not need to control every outcome. Your time is too valuable. Your life is too short. Your character is too important. So when someone walks away, let them walk. When someone misunderstands you, allow them their judgment. When someone refuses to recognize your value, stop begging them to see it. When someone chooses another path, release them. Not because you never cared, because you finally understand that clinging to what has already changed cannot bring it back. Your responsibility is not to hold the world still. Your responsibility is to live well while the world moves. This is what it means to die before your body dies. You let go of the things that were never under your control. You stop feeding the ego that demands permanence. You stop wasting your limited time on temporary battles. You begin living as someone who understands that every morning is valuable because it is not guaranteed. And once you understand that, something strange happens. You become less afraid. You become less desperate. You become less dependent on approval. You become less willing to trade your peace for things that will eventually disappear anyway. You begin to understand that losing something does not always mean being defeated. Sometimes loss is simply life reminding you that nothing external was ever yours forever. And if you can accept that without becoming bitter, you become stronger. You begin to live with open hands instead of clenched fists. You appreciate without possessing. You love without demanding permanence. You work without becoming enslaved to results. You give without requiring applause. You live without constantly asking whether the world is giving you what you deserve. And perhaps most importantly, you stop postponing your life. Because one day there will be no tomorrow. One day the opportunity to change will end. One day the person you could have become will remain only a possibility. Do not wait for that day to understand what mattered. Begin now. Release what has already passed. Protect what is still present. Build what deserves to survive you. And become someone whose inner life is not destroyed every time the outer world changes. Because when you understand mortality, you begin to understand freedom. But there is still one final attachment that keeps many people trapped. The fear of losing people. The fear of being abandoned. The fear that someone will walk away and leave us incomplete. And until we learn how to release people without abandoning ourselves, we will continue giving away pieces of our peace simply to keep someone beside us. That is where we go next. 5. Let them lose you. One of the hardest lessons we will ever learn is that not everyone who enters our life is meant to remain there. Some people arrive for a season. Some arrive to teach us. Some arrive to challenge us. Some arrive to reveal parts of ourselves that we had never noticed. And some people simply leave. The problem is not always that they leave. The problem is what we become willing to do to make them stay. We beg, we chase, we explain ourselves again and again. We accept treatment that slowly destroys our dignity. We abandon our boundaries. We silence our needs. We become someone else because we are terrified that the person we truly are will not be enough. And eventually, we lose something far more valuable than the person we were trying to keep. We lose ourselves. This is where we must become honest. There is a difference between loving someone and being afraid to live without them. There is a difference between caring about someone and depending on them for your identity. There is a difference between forgiveness and repeatedly allowing someone to violate your boundaries. There is a difference between loyalty and abandoning yourself simply because you are afraid of being alone. We must learn these differences, because the moment you believe that someone else is necessary for you to be whole, you have placed your wholeness outside yourself. And anything outside yourself can be taken away. The ancient thinkers understood the temporary nature of everything external. People change. Circumstances change. Relationships change. Bodies change. Fortunes change. Even the people we once believed would remain beside us forever may eventually walk in another direction. This is not a reason to become cold. It is a reason to become awake. We should appreciate people without pretending we own them. We should love people without demanding that they remain unchanged. We should care without becoming dependent. And when someone chooses to leave, we must learn how to release them without destroying ourselves in the process. This is one of the deepest forms of emotional strength. Let them go. Let them choose. Let them misunderstand. Let them walk away. Not because they are worthless. Not because you never cared. But because you understand that another person cannot be the foundation of your entire inner world. Think about the desperation that appears when we are terrified of losing someone. We begin checking messages constantly. We begin analyzing every change in their behavior. We begin wondering whether they still care. We begin trying to become more interesting, more agreeable, more available. We begin measuring our value through their attention. When they respond quickly, we feel secure. When they become distant, we become anxious. When they praise us, we feel worthy. When they criticize us, we question ourselves. Our emotional state begins following their behavior like a shadow. That is not love in its healthiest form. That is fear. And fear makes us willing to surrender things that should never be surrendered. Our dignity, our boundaries, our principles, our peace. Seneca understood that time is one of the most precious things we possess. We should therefore be careful about giving our time to people who treat it as if it has no value. Look at your own life. How many hours have you spent waiting for someone to change? How many days have you spent wondering whether someone will return? How many nights have you spent replaying conversations because you were desperate to understand why someone treated you differently? How many times have you sent another message when your dignity was telling you to stop? How many times have you accepted less than you deserved because you were afraid that walking away would leave you alone? These questions are painful, but they are necessary, because sometimes the person we are afraid to lose has already cost us too much. And sometimes the greatest loss is not losing another person. Sometimes the greatest loss is losing the version of ourselves that existed before we became obsessed with keeping them. We lose our confidence. We lose our focus. We lose our discipline. We lose our identity. We stop building our future because we are constantly trying to repair the past. And we call it love. But love should not require the destruction of your character. If someone can only remain in your life when you abandon yourself, then the price is too high. You must learn to say enough, not with hatred, not with revenge, not with dramatic declarations, simply with clarity. There are moments when walking away is not an act of weakness. It is an act of self-respect. There are moments when silence is not punishment. It is acceptance. There are moments when letting go is not surrender. It is freedom. This is why the strongest people do not chase every person who leaves. They understand that some doors close because continuing through them would require them to become smaller. They understand that some relationships end because their presence has become incompatible with the person they are becoming. They understand that not every ending requires revenge. Some endings require gratitude. Some require forgiveness. Some require distance. And some simply require acceptance. We cannot force people to value us. We cannot force people to stay. We cannot force people to understand our heart. We cannot force people to become the person we hoped they would become. The moment we accept this, we stop fighting reality. And reality is where peace begins. Epictetus taught us to distinguish between what belongs to us and what does not. Another person's choice does not belong to us. Another person's feelings do not belong to us. Another person's decision to stay or leave does not belong to us. But our response does. Our dignity does. Our character does. Our next action does. This is where our power remains. Someone may leave your life, but they do not have the power to decide what you do with the years that remain. Someone may reject you, but they do not have the power to decide whether you continue becoming stronger. Someone may fail to appreciate you, but they do not have the authority to determine your worth. Someone may betray you, but they do not have the right to decide whether you become bitter. That decision belongs to you. This is why we must be careful about the stories we tell ourselves after loss. The mind wants to create a story. They left because I was not enough. They chose someone else because I was worthless. They betrayed me because nobody can be trusted. They rejected me because I will always be rejected. These thoughts can feel convincing when we are hurting. But pain is not always a reliable interpreter of reality. Sometimes we suffer not only because of what happened, but because of what we tell ourselves it means. A relationship ending does not prove that you are unworthy. Someone leaving does not prove that you are impossible to love. Someone failing to recognize your value does not erase your value. Their choice is their choice. Your character remains yours. This is why we must learn to separate rejection from identity. Someone can reject your presence without rejecting your entire worth as a human being. Someone can dislike you without proving that you are bad. Someone can misunderstand you without revealing the truth about who you are. Someone can leave without taking your future with them. That distinction can save you from years of unnecessary suffering. There will be moments when someone leaves and you will want to chase them. Pause. There will be moments when you want to prove that you are worthy. Pause. There will be moments when you want to send one more message. Pause. There will be moments when you want to make them regret losing you. Pause. Ask yourself what you are actually trying to accomplish. Are you seeking connection? Or are you seeking validation? Are you seeking reconciliation? Or are you trying to escape the pain of rejection? Are you trying to repair something healthy? Or are you simply terrified of being alone? These questions require honesty, because sometimes what we call love is actually fear of abandonment. And sometimes what we call loyalty is actually fear of starting over. You cannot build a peaceful life while constantly begging the past to return. At some point, you must turn around. There is a future waiting for you that cannot be built while your attention remains trapped in what has already ended. Marcus Aurelius understood that everything external is temporary. People come, people go. Circumstances rise, circumstances fall. Empires grow, empires collapse. The seasons change, the body ages. Nothing outside of us was promised to remain forever. So why should we demand permanence from another human being? Why should we believe that someone must stay simply because we wanted them to? Why should we destroy our peace because reality refused to follow our plans? We must learn to love without possession, to care without clinging, to appreciate without demanding permanence, and to release without hatred. This does not make us less human. It makes us more mature. There is also something else that happens when you stop chasing people. You begin discovering how much energy you were wasting. The energy you spent trying to maintain someone else's attention becomes available again. The time you spent waiting becomes available again. The mental space you spent analyzing another person's behavior becomes available again. And slowly, you begin returning to yourself. You start working on your goals again. You start reading again. You start exercising your discipline again. You start building your future again. You begin waking up in the morning without immediately checking whether someone still wants you. You begin going to sleep without wondering what another person thinks about you. You become present, and presence is freedom. This is why letting someone lose you can sometimes be one of the most powerful decisions you ever make. Not because you want them to suffer, not because you want them to regret leaving, not because you want to make them jealous. That would still mean they control your attention. The real victory is when you no longer care whether they regret it. You stop measuring your healing by their reaction. You stop waiting for them to come back. You stop imagining their future regret. You stop wondering whether they will eventually understand your value. You simply move forward. That is freedom. When someone walks away, let them. If they were meant to remain, they will remain through mutual choice and mutual respect. If they are not, then holding them by force will not create genuine connection. Do not beg someone to choose you. Do not abandon yourself to become easier to keep. Do not reduce your standards simply because you are afraid of loneliness. Do not sacrifice your future to preserve a relationship that has already become a source of constant suffering. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to close the door. You are allowed to choose peace. And you are allowed to stop explaining why. One of the strongest things you can say is nothing at all. You simply live differently. You stop chasing. You stop begging. You stop proving. You stop reacting. You stop waiting. And you begin building. This is how you reclaim yourself. The person who once occupied your thoughts every morning becomes less important. The memory becomes quieter. The pain becomes lighter. The lessons become clearer. And eventually you realize something. You did not lose yourself because they left. You lost yourself when you believed you could not survive without them. And now you know better. You can love someone and still let them go. You can forgive someone and still keep your distance. You can miss someone and still continue forward. You can care about someone and still choose yourself. This is not selfishness. It is self-possession. You are responsible for your life. You are responsible for your character. You are responsible for the direction of your attention. And you cannot fulfill those responsibilities while constantly trying to control whether someone else stays. So let them lose you if they choose to. Let them walk away. Let them misunderstand. Let them discover your absence. Let life reveal what your presence meant. But do not spend your life waiting for their realization. Your future cannot depend on their regret. Your peace cannot depend on their apology. Your identity cannot depend on their approval. And your healing cannot depend on their return. Keep walking, build yourself, strengthen your mind, protect your character. Become so committed to your own growth that you no longer need another person's absence to prove your value. Because the greatest victory is not when they come back. The greatest victory is when you realize you no longer need them to. And once you learn how to release people without abandoning yourself, another challenge appears. You will discover that even when you stop chasing people, you may still feel the need to explain yourself to them. You may still want them to understand your intentions. You may still want them to know that you were not the person they believed you were. You may still feel the urge to prove your innocence. But there is another level of freedom waiting for us. The day we stop needing to be understood. Part 6. Stop needing to be understood. There comes a moment in every person's life when they discover a painful truth. You can be honest and still be called a liar. You can be kind and still be accused of having bad intentions. You can give everything you have and still be told that it was not enough. You can speak the truth and still be misunderstood. And no matter how carefully you explain yourself, there will always be someone who has already decided what they believe about you. This is one of the hardest realities for the human mind to accept. We want to be understood. We want people to know our intentions. We want them to understand why we made certain decisions. We want them to know what we endured before they judged us. We want them to see the sacrifices nobody else saw. We want them to understand the person we know ourselves to be. But there is a dangerous trap hidden inside this desire. The need to be understood can become another form of dependence. The moment your peace depends on another person seeing you correctly, you have placed your peace in their hands. And you cannot control another person's mind. You can control your words. You can control your actions. You can control your intentions. You can control whether you live honestly. But you cannot control the story someone else creates about you. This is where Epictetus becomes especially important. He understood that another person's judgment belongs to that person. Their opinion is theirs. Their interpretation is theirs. Their perception is theirs. You do not have to carry it. Think about a perfectly still lake. Under a clear sky, the surface reflects the world above it with remarkable clarity. The moon appears in the water. The stars appear in the water. The trees appear in the water. But throw a stone into that lake and the reflection becomes distorted. The moon did not change. The stars did not change. The trees did not change. The water changed. Human perception works in a similar way. A person who carries insecurity may interpret confidence as arrogance. A person who carries resentment may interpret kindness as manipulation. A person who carries envy may interpret success as selfishness. A person who carries fear may interpret boundaries as rejection. A person who carries pride may interpret disagreement as disrespect. They may not be seeing you as you truly are. They may be seeing you through the condition of their own mind. And this is why trying to control every opinion becomes an endless battle. You are trying to repair a reflection that was distorted before you ever appeared in it. You explain yourself once, then again, then again. You search for better words. You provide more details. You tell the story from the beginning. You explain your intentions. You defend your character. You hope that eventually they will understand. But what happens when they still refuse to understand? You explain again, and again, and again. At some point, the explanation stops being about truth. It becomes about desperation. You are no longer trying to communicate. You are trying to control another person's judgment. And that is something you cannot do. This is where we must learn to release the need for universal understanding. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will like you. Not everyone will believe you. Not everyone will interpret your actions fairly. And that does not automatically mean you have done something wrong. There will be people who judge you from a distance. People who know only one chapter of your story. People who hear one version of an event and decide they know the whole truth. People who see your boundaries and call them selfishness. People who see your silence and call it arrogance. People who see your discipline and call it obsession. People who see your confidence and call it pride. You cannot live your life trying to correct every interpretation. If you do, you will spend your entire existence defending yourself. And while you are defending yourself, you will not be living. Marcus Aurelius was surrounded by people who disagreed with him. He was criticized. He was questioned. He faced people who did not understand his decisions. Yet his task was not to make every person approve of him. His task was to govern himself according to reason and virtue. That is our task too. We must become more concerned with the quality of our character than with the accuracy of everyone's opinion. Ask yourself different questions. Was I honest? Was I fair? Did I act with courage? Did I control myself when anger appeared? Did I treat another person with dignity? Did I make the best decision I could with the information I had? Did I remain faithful to my principles? These questions are more important than whether everyone agrees with you, because approval is unstable. Character is not. Approval depends on the mood of the crowd. Character depends on the decisions you make when the crowd is absent. The crowd can praise you today and criticize you tomorrow. The same people who admire you when you succeed may disappear when you struggle. The same person who calls you wonderful today may call you selfish tomorrow. If you build your identity on their voices, your identity will constantly change. But if you build your identity on principles, you become stable. You become difficult to shake. This is why silence can sometimes be a form of strength. Not every accusation requires an answer. Not every misunderstanding requires correction. Not every insult deserves your attention. Not every false story needs you to chase it. Sometimes the truth needs time. Sometimes character needs time. Sometimes the most powerful answer is simply to continue living correctly. Let people create their stories. You create your character. Let people discuss your past. You build your future. Let people misunderstand your silence. You remain at peace. Let people question your choices. You continue making choices according to your principles. This is not arrogance. It is emotional independence. You are no longer asking the world to confirm who you are. You know who you are because you know how you behave when nobody is watching. There is a quiet dignity in this. You stop performing. You stop trying to appear perfect. You stop manipulating your image. You stop desperately trying to make everyone like you. And instead, you become honest with yourself. That honesty is powerful because it also gives you the courage to accept criticism. This is important. Not needing to be understood does not mean refusing to listen. Not every criticism is an attack. Sometimes another person sees something in us that we cannot see ourselves. A wise person does not reject criticism simply because it hurts. They examine it. They ask whether there is truth inside it. If there is truth, they learn. If there is no truth, they release it. Either way, they remain free. This is different from becoming defensive. The defensive person hears criticism and immediately attacks. The dependent person hears criticism and immediately collapses. The wise person listens. They examine. They decide. Then they move forward. That is emotional maturity. We must learn to separate our identity from the opinions of other people. Someone can say you are a failure. That does not make you a failure. Someone can say you are weak. That does not make you weak. Someone can say you are selfish. That does not automatically make you selfish. The statement must be examined against reality. This is why self-knowledge is so important. If you know yourself honestly, you become harder to manipulate. You know your strengths. You know your weaknesses. You know your mistakes. You know your intentions. You know what you are working to improve. When someone criticizes you, you do not need to panic because you are not discovering yourself through their opinion. You already know that you are imperfect. You already know that you have made mistakes. You already know that there are things you must improve. Therefore, another person's judgment does not have to destroy you. It may teach you, or it may pass through you. Either way, you remain yourself. There is another painful lesson here. Sometimes you will be misunderstood by people you love. That can hurt more deeply than being misunderstood by strangers. You may desperately want them to see your heart. You may want them to understand why you made a certain decision. You may want them to recognize that you never intended to hurt them. But sometimes even the people closest to us cannot see everything inside us. They are human too. They see through their own experiences. They carry their own fears. They have their own expectations. And sometimes their understanding of us will never perfectly match reality. You must learn to live with that. You can clarify. You can apologize when you are wrong. You can explain your intentions. You can repair what you can repair. But after you have done what is within your control, you must release what is not. Otherwise, you will remain trapped in an endless attempt to control another person's mind. And no amount of explanation can guarantee understanding. This is why there is freedom in allowing yourself to be misunderstood. At first, it feels uncomfortable. You want to correct the story. You want to defend yourself. You want to make sure everyone knows the truth. But eventually, something changes. You realize that your life is too valuable to spend chasing every false interpretation. You realize that people who genuinely know you will judge you by patterns rather than isolated moments. You realize that those who want to misunderstand you will often find a reason regardless of what you say. And you stop fighting, not because you have surrendered your truth, because you have stopped surrendering your peace. That distinction matters. You can stand by your truth without forcing everyone to accept it. You can know your worth without demanding that everyone recognize it. You can live honestly without requiring everyone to understand your choices. You can walk away from an argument without believing that you lost. You can remain silent without believing that you are weak. You can allow another person to have the last word while still knowing that your character remains intact. This is strength. The world will continue producing opinions about you. Some will be accurate. Some will be wrong. Some will be kind. Some will be cruel. Some will matter. Most will not. Your responsibility is not to manage the entire world of opinions. Your responsibility is to manage yourself. That is the territory that belongs to you. So when you feel the urge to explain yourself for the 5th time, pause. Ask whether the person actually wants understanding, or whether they simply want control. Ask whether another explanation will change anything. Ask whether you are defending truth or defending your ego. Ask whether your response will improve the situation or simply extend the conflict. And sometimes, after asking those questions, you will discover that silence is enough. You do not need to convince everyone. You do not need to prove everything. You do not need to be understood by everyone. You need to live in a way that allows you to respect yourself when you are alone. That is the standard. When the crowd disappears, can you still respect the person in the mirror? When nobody praises you, can you continue doing what is right? When nobody understands your sacrifice, can you continue sacrificing for what matters? When people criticize you unfairly, can you remain honest? When people praise you excessively, can you remain humble? This is where character becomes stronger than reputation. Reputation belongs to others. Character belongs to you. And when you understand this deeply, something beautiful happens. You become quieter, not weaker, quieter. You stop explaining everything. You stop defending every accusation. You stop chasing every person who misunderstands you. You stop begging people to see your value. You stop trying to control what cannot be controlled. And the energy you once spent defending yourself becomes available for building yourself. You can read. You can learn. You can work. You can create. You can serve. You can strengthen your body. You can discipline your mind. You can build your future. You can become the person you kept trying to explain to everyone else. That is the deeper freedom. You no longer need to convince people that you are becoming better. You simply become better. And eventually, your life begins speaking louder than your explanations ever could. But even after learning to stop chasing approval, another test remains. Life will eventually place something in front of you that cannot be explained away. Hardship, loss, failure, disappointment, pain. And in those moments, we discover whether our principles are merely words or whether they have become part of who we are. Because the world does not test our character when everything is comfortable. It tests us when comfort disappears. That is where we go next. 7. Become stronger than what happens to you. There is a point where philosophy stops being something we talk about and becomes something we must live. It is easy to speak about strength when life is peaceful. It is easy to speak about discipline when everything is going according to plan. It is easy to speak about patience when nobody is testing you. But the real test begins when life takes something from you, when the plan fails, when the relationship ends, when the opportunity disappears, when the person you trusted betrays you, when your efforts produce nothing, when you wake up and realize that the future you imagined may no longer exist. That is when we discover what has truly been built inside us. Hardship has a way of exposing the difference between appearance and character. A person can look strong when everything is easy, but when circumstances become difficult, the hidden structure is revealed. This is why we must stop asking for a life without difficulty. A life without difficulty would never teach us what we are capable of becoming. We should ask for something deeper. Give me the strength to remain myself when life becomes difficult. Give me the discipline to continue when motivation disappears. Give me the courage to accept what I cannot change. Give me the wisdom to recognize what I can change. Give me the patience to endure what must be endured. And give me the character to emerge from hardship without becoming bitter. This is the difference between merely surviving difficulty and using difficulty to become stronger. Marcus Aurelius understood that obstacles are not always interruptions to our path. Sometimes they become part of the path. A locked door forces us to search for another entrance. A failure forces us to examine our methods. A rejection forces us to discover whether our identity depends on approval. A loss forces us to confront impermanence. A betrayal forces us to examine our judgment of people. A difficult season forces us to discover whether our discipline exists only when life is comfortable. The obstacle becomes a teacher, but only if we are willing to learn. There are two ways to meet hardship. We can ask why this happened to me, or we can ask what this moment requires from me. The first question often leads to helplessness. The second leads to responsibility. Why did this happen to me? Why did they leave me? Why did I fail? Why did life become unfair? Why did someone else succeed while I struggled? These questions can consume us because they often have no satisfying answer. But what does this moment require from me? That question is different. It brings us back to the present. Maybe it requires patience, maybe courage, maybe discipline, maybe acceptance, maybe forgiveness, maybe the humility to admit that we made a mistake, maybe the strength to begin again. This is where our power returns. We stop demanding that reality become different before we allow ourselves to act. We work with reality as it is, not as we wish it were. This does not mean that we become passive. Acceptance is not surrender. Acceptance means seeing reality clearly enough to respond intelligently. If something can be changed, change it. If something can be repaired, repair it. If something can be learned, learn it. If something must be endured, endure it. If something cannot be controlled, release your struggle against it. This is the discipline that separates wisdom from endless frustration. Think about a river. The river does not waste its existence arguing with the mountain. It encounters the obstacle and finds another way. It continues. It bends. It moves around. It changes direction. But it does not stop being a river simply because the landscape changed. We must become like that. Life will change the landscape. Our plans will be interrupted. People will leave. Opportunities will disappear. Unexpected problems will arrive. But we do not have to stop being ourselves because circumstances changed. We can adapt without abandoning our principles. We can bend without breaking. We can change direction without losing our purpose. This is resilience. And resilience is not the absence of pain. It is the ability to carry pain without allowing it to destroy your character. Seneca understood that difficulty can reveal strength. A person does not discover their courage by reading about courage. They discover it when fear appears and they continue anyway. A person does not discover their patience by talking about patience. They discover it when life refuses to move according to their schedule. A person does not discover their discipline when motivation is high. They discover it when motivation disappears and they continue doing what must be done. Hardship reveals us, and sometimes what it reveals is uncomfortable. We may discover that we are more dependent on approval than we thought. We may discover that our patience is fragile. We may discover that we have built our identity around comfort. We may discover that we expected life to protect us from disappointment. This is not a reason for shame. It is an invitation to grow. The moment you see a weakness clearly, you can begin strengthening it. But you cannot strengthen what you refuse to acknowledge. This is why we must become brutally honest with ourselves. Where are we fragile? What circumstances control our mood? What opinions can destroy our confidence? What losses are we still refusing to accept? What desires are controlling our decisions? What fears are quietly determining our lives? What are we avoiding because we are afraid of discomfort? These questions are difficult because they remove excuses, but they also create freedom. Once you know what controls you, you can begin taking back control. Imagine a person who has spent years believing that they are strong because nobody has challenged them. Then life challenges them. Suddenly, everything collapses. But because they were never strong, they were simply comfortable. Comfort can disguise weakness. Difficulty reveals it. This is why we should not fear every difficult season. Some of the strongest versions of ourselves are built in seasons we would never have chosen. The lonely season, the uncertain season, the season when nobody applauds, the season when progress feels invisible, the season when you must continue without knowing whether your efforts will succeed. These seasons are painful, but they can teach us something that comfort never could. We learn how to act without applause. We learn how to continue without guarantees. We learn how to maintain discipline without motivation. We learn how to remain honorable when nobody is watching. We learn that our strength does not come from knowing what will happen. It comes from knowing that whatever happens, we will meet it. That is a powerful kind of confidence. Not confidence that says nothing bad will happen. Confidence that says I will not abandon myself when something bad happens. This is the difference between external security and internal security. External security depends on circumstances. Internal security depends on character. Circumstances can disappear overnight. Character is built slowly. This is why we must stop placing our entire sense of safety in things we cannot control. Money can disappear. People can leave. Opportunities can close. Plans can fail. Health can change. Reputation can shift. But the ability to respond with courage, wisdom, discipline, and self-control remains something we can continue developing. That is the foundation we should build, because life will eventually test us. It always does. The question is not whether difficulty will come. The question is what difficulty will find when it arrives. Will it find a person who collapses because the world stopped cooperating? Or will it find someone who says, "This is difficult, but I can still choose my next action"? That sentence contains enormous power. I can still choose my next action. Maybe I cannot control the entire situation, but I can control the next step. Maybe I cannot fix everything today, but I can do one useful thing. Maybe I cannot change what happened, but I can decide what happens next. Maybe I cannot stop the pain, but I can refuse to turn the pain into hatred. Maybe I cannot make someone return, but I can continue living. Maybe I cannot change the past, but I can stop destroying the present because of it. This is how we reclaim our power, not all at once. One decision at a time, one morning at a time, one response at a time, one difficult moment at a time. There is also another danger we must recognize. Sometimes hardship does not make people stronger. Sometimes it makes them bitter, and bitterness can become its own prison. Someone hurts you, you become suspicious. Someone betrays you, you stop trusting everyone. Someone rejects you, you reject yourself before anyone else gets the chance. Someone humiliates you, you become obsessed with proving that you are better than them. This is how pain becomes identity. We must refuse this transformation. The fact that someone treated you badly does not require you to become bad. The fact that someone lied does not require you to abandon truth. The fact that someone betrayed you does not require you to become incapable of trust. The fact that someone rejected you does not require you to reject yourself. Do not let the behavior of another person become the blueprint for your character. You are responsible for who you become after the wound. This is perhaps one of the most important lessons we can learn. Your pain is not your identity. Your failure is not your identity. Your rejection is not your identity. Your past is not your identity. What matters is what you do next. This is why every morning can become a form of rebirth. You wake up. The past is still there. The problems may still be there. The uncertainty may still be there. But you have another opportunity to choose. You can choose discipline. You can choose patience. You can choose courage. You can choose truth. You can choose restraint. You can choose to work. You can choose to forgive. You can choose to begin again. And sometimes beginning again is the greatest form of strength. Not because you have forgotten what happened, because you have decided that what happened will not have the final word. The final word belongs to your character. This is why we should not pray for an easy path. We should prepare ourselves for the path we are given. If the day is peaceful, use it well. If the day is difficult, use it well. If people appreciate you, remain humble. If people criticize you, remain grounded. If you succeed, remain disciplined. If you fail, remain teachable. If someone stays, appreciate them. If someone leaves, release them. If life gives you more than you expected, be grateful. If life takes something away, remember that nothing external was promised forever. This is how we become stronger than what happens to us. Not stronger than every event. No human being is, but stronger than the need for life to obey our preferences. That is a much deeper strength. Because when you stop demanding that reality behave exactly as you want, you stop wasting energy fighting the inevitable. You begin using that energy to build. You become more focused, more patient, more disciplined, more difficult to manipulate, more capable of enduring uncertainty, more capable of remaining calm when others lose control. And eventually, the person who once needed everything to go according to plan begins to understand something. You do not need life to be easy in order to live well. You do not need everyone to love you. You do not need everyone to understand you. You do not need every opportunity. You do not need every relationship. You do not need every plan to succeed. You need the courage to continue becoming the person you respect. That is enough. And when hardship arrives again, as it inevitably will, you will not ask only why this is happening. You will ask what this moment is asking you to become. That question changes everything. Because perhaps the difficult season is not here to destroy you. Perhaps it is here to reveal what you have been capable of all along. Perhaps the closed door is teaching you to stop begging. Perhaps the rejection is teaching you to stop depending on approval. Perhaps the betrayal is teaching you to become wiser without becoming bitter. Perhaps the failure is teaching you discipline. Perhaps the loneliness is teaching you self-possession. Perhaps the uncertainty is teaching you courage. Perhaps the pain is teaching you what truly matters. We do not have to love suffering. We do not have to pretend that pain is pleasant. We simply have to refuse to waste it. If life gives you difficulty, extract wisdom from it. If life gives you loss, extract perspective from it. If life gives you rejection, extract independence from it. If life gives you failure, extract discipline from it. If life gives you uncertainty, extract courage from it. This is how suffering becomes useful. And when you live this way long enough, something begins to change. The world does not necessarily become kinder. People do not necessarily become easier. Problems do not necessarily disappear. You become different. And because you become different, the same events no longer possess the same power over you. The insult is still an insult, but you do not need to carry it. The rejection is still painful, but it does not define you. The loss is still real, but it does not destroy your ability to live. The uncertainty is still uncomfortable, but it no longer controls every decision. You have developed something more valuable than protection from pain. You have developed the ability to remain yourself inside pain. That is the strength we have been moving toward from the beginning. Guard your mind. Stop feeding destructive emotions. Become less dependent on approval. Remember that everything external is temporary. Let people leave without abandoning yourself. Stop needing everyone to understand you. And when hardship arrives, use it to strengthen the character that remains. Now we have reached the final lesson, because all of these disciplines eventually lead to one question. After everything that has happened to you, who are you going to become? That is the question waiting at the end of this journey. And the answer cannot be found in what the world gives you. It must be found in what you choose to give the world through the person you become. Now we have reached the place where everything comes together. Not in the world around us, inside ourselves. We began with a simple question. What would happen if you could no longer be controlled by the things that once controlled you? If insults could no longer command your anger? If rejection could no longer determine your worth? If someone leaving could no longer destroy your identity? If misunderstanding could no longer force you into endless explanations? If hardship could no longer decide who you become? The answer is not that you will never feel pain again. That is not the goal. You are human. You will feel disappointment. You will experience loss. You will encounter betrayal. You will sometimes become angry. You will sometimes feel afraid. You will sometimes question yourself. But something can change. You can stop allowing every emotion to become an order. You can feel anger without becoming cruel. You can feel sadness without becoming hopeless. You can experience rejection without rejecting yourself. You can experience loss without losing your character. You can experience failure without becoming a failure in your own mind. This is the freedom we have been moving toward. Not freedom from life, freedom within life. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the mind can remain its own possession even when circumstances become difficult. Epictetus taught us to distinguish between what belongs to our control and what does not. Seneca reminded us that much of life is lost because we spend our limited time consumed by things that do not deserve it. These teachings are not merely words to admire. They are disciplines to practice. Every morning gives us another opportunity. When you wake up, the world will still be imperfect. There will still be people you cannot control. There will still be circumstances you cannot predict. There will still be problems waiting for your attention. But you will have a choice. You can surrender your mind to whatever happens, or you can meet the day with intention. You can choose what deserves your attention. You can choose what deserves your anger. You can choose what deserves your energy. You can choose what deserves your silence. You can choose what deserves another chance. And you can choose what must finally be released. This is why the morning matters. Before the world begins demanding things from you, remember who is responsible for your inner world. Do not wake up and immediately hand your mind to other people. Do not allow yesterday to dictate today. Do not begin the morning carrying every insult, every rejection, every disappointment, and every fear from the past. Leave some things behind. You cannot control what happened yesterday, but you can control what you carry into today. So rise, breathe, observe your thoughts, question your impulses. Remember what is within your control. Then act, not according to anger, not according to fear, not according to the desire for approval, according to character, because character is what remains when everything else becomes uncertain. One day people will change, circumstances will change, your possessions will change, your body will change, your reputation will change, the world itself will change, but the choices you make today are shaping the person you are becoming. So choose carefully. When someone provokes you, choose restraint. When someone insults you, choose dignity. When someone rejects you, choose self-respect. When someone leaves, choose acceptance. When someone misunderstands you, choose peace. When hardship arrives, choose courage. When life takes something from you, choose wisdom. And when you fail, choose to begin again. You do not need to become invulnerable. You need to become difficult to corrupt. That is different. A person who feels nothing is not necessarily strong. A person who feels deeply and still chooses wisely is strong. A person who has been betrayed and refuses to become a betrayer is strong. A person who has been rejected and refuses to hate themselves is strong. A person who has been humiliated and refuses to become cruel is strong. A person who has suffered and still chooses virtue is strong. This is the kind of strength that cannot be measured from the outside. Nobody may applaud it. Nobody may even notice it. But you will know. You will know when you remain silent instead of reacting. You will know when you walk away instead of begging. You will know when you forgive without returning to what destroyed your peace. You will know when you accept what cannot be changed and focus on what can. You will know when you wake up after a difficult night and still decide to continue. These small victories become a life. One decision becomes another. One disciplined morning becomes another. One controlled reaction becomes another. And slowly, without announcing it to anyone, you become someone different. Calmer, stronger, more disciplined, more difficult to manipulate, less dependent on approval, less afraid of loss, less controlled by anger, more capable of facing reality, more capable of standing alone, more capable of living according to your principles. And then one day you will look back and realize something. The world did not need to become less painful. You needed to become more capable of meeting it. The people around you did not need to become perfect. You needed to become less dependent on their perfection. Your past did not need to disappear. You needed to stop allowing it to dictate your present. Your circumstances did not need to become completely favorable. You needed to become stronger than your dependence on favorable circumstances. This is the final lesson. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can train yourself to become the kind of person who can meet whatever happens without surrendering your character. That is the power within your reach, and it begins quietly. Tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, before you check who messaged you, before you think about who ignored you, before you remember who hurt you, take a moment. Ask yourself one question. What belongs to me today? Your thoughts, your choices, your actions, your attention, your character, your response. Begin there. Do not waste your morning trying to control the entire world. Control what is yours. Do not waste your energy trying to make everyone understand you. Live in a way that allows you to understand yourself. Do not chase people who have chosen to leave. Do not trade your dignity for temporary attention. Do not feed the anger that wants to consume your peace. Do not allow the past to steal another morning. And do not fear hardship so much that you forget what hardship can teach you. You are not here to control the world. You are here to master yourself within it. That is the path, and it is walked one day at a time. So when tomorrow comes, begin again, not as someone who expects life to be easy, but as someone who has decided that difficulty will not determine their character. Not as someone who needs everyone to approve, but as someone who knows that integrity matters more than applause. Not as someone who needs everyone to stay, but as someone who can love deeply without abandoning themselves. Not as someone who never feels pain, but as someone who refuses to let pain become their master. And when the world tries to pull you back into the person you used to be, remember this. You do not have to react. You do not have to chase. You do not have to explain. You do not have to prove. You do not have to revenge yourself. You do not have to become bitter. You can simply choose again, and again, and again, until self-control becomes natural, until discipline becomes identity, until peace becomes stronger than provocation, until your character becomes stronger than circumstances, until you finally understand that the greatest victory was never defeating the people who hurt you. The greatest victory was refusing to let them determine who you became. Master yourself. Guard your mind. Protect your character. Accept what you cannot control. Act on what you can. And walk forward, quietly, deliberately, without needing permission. Because the moment you stop giving other people control over your inner world, something changes forever. They may still be able to hurt your feelings. They may still disappoint you. They may still leave. They may still misunderstand you. Life may still bring hardship, but they no longer decide what happens next. You do, and that is where your freedom begins.